We're talking about surprise pregnancies, induced lactation, co-nursing, and using a known donor. And that's just to get started. Today, I have the opportunity to introduce you to Cyndel and Kendra, and we talk about their beautiful family and how they went about creating that. It's also Pride Month, and they are joining me as fellow Canadians as we celebrate Pride 2025. Welcome to the Becoming Baby Ready podcast, your podcast for queer family planning. My name is Sam, and throughout this podcast, you'll hear me have conversations with professionals who work alongside people who want to start and grow their families, as well as parents of intentionally created families. Everyone I speak to identifies as being part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. This is your opportunity to learn answers to questions you didn't even know you had. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm really excited to be sitting here talking to fellow Canadians because, as you may have noticed, through Pride Month, I am airing conversations with my fellow Canadians about how they created their families. We are recording on April 28th, 2025, and that may become significant later in the conversation, but I digress. Let me first tell you that I'm talking to Cyndel and Kendra. Welcome to the two of you. Please tell us who you are and about the members of your family.
I'm Kendra. I'm a, I don't know, a mom. We have three kids together. I am a carpenter.
One of two moms.
One of two moms, yeah. Yeah.
My name is Cyndel. I am the other mom of the two moms of what we like to refer to as our turkey baster babies. I'm a chef. I'm also a Leche League leader.
Woot woot.
Yay. I don't really know what else to say because it's later in the day, so.
There you go. Fair enough. Fair enough. Energy and brain power starts to fade, right?
Exactly.
So tell us, as members of the queer community, I can see that there are probably two uteruses sitting in front of me. And when we're looking at making a recipe for having a baby, two uteruses alone can't achieve that goal. So how did you decide what uterus is being used and how you were going to go through the process of creating your family?
Okay, I guess a little bit of a backstory. I was previously married,
Mhm.
and me and my ex-wife decided that we were going to bring a child into this world. We used an unknown donor.
Mhm.
She was super against knowing who the donor was. So we brought my oldest daughter, she's 9.5 now, into the world using an unknown donor. And when my oldest was 9 months old, my wife decided she never actually wanted kids. So I went on a trip to visit family one day, came back, and she was gone. So I went from being a two mom, one child home to being a single mom. So that opened a whole new adventure for me. And then about 2 years later, Kendra came into my life via the internet because, well, how else would I find her? And she lived 3 hours away because, distance
That's
is nothing.
convenient.
It's 3 hours is like 25 minutes in like lesbian kilometers.
Fair,
Uh,
fair.
so she has been raising our oldest Lennox since she was 2. And then I told her when we met, that I definitely wanted more kids. And that if she was going to be in this for the long haul, that she's going to have to hop on board. And she was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. So we had a relationship first. We didn't just jump into having kids. But I'll skip that part. So when we were talking about it, the plan was for me to get pregnant. We actually found a known donor. Um, and I got pregnant the second try. We were doing at-home artificial insemination, aka turkey baster babies.
Yes.
I got pregnant the second month. I lost that pregnancy. And the next month, while I was going through that entire process, our donor was still on standby. So I couldn't inseminate, and we're like, you want to give it a go?
Why
Does
not?
she get pregnant the first try?
Oh.
Yeah. So, of course, I was like, you bitch, how dare you? That easy. But yeah, so we thought it would be fun to try and get pregnant at the same time. After we realized she was pregnant, I was done going through like that whole the miscarriage process. Um, and it was not easy, actually.
Oh.
It took us 2 years of trying every single month, until I got pregnant. Yeah. And the month that we decided that it was too difficult in the midst of the pandemic, our son was already born. He was what, like six,
7 months, 8 months,
yeah,
something like that.
under a year. And we decided that we were moving. So we're like, okay, we're gonna have to put this on hold. I was already going to fertility clinics. I already went through medication. I was doing acupuncture. I was doing witchy little oils. I was the whole process, whatever mental thing that I could do to add to the physical things. We were doing
Hmm.
it. The month
Yep.
we decided that we weren't going to try anymore, that life was going to be too hectic. We were giving up our home. I found out I was pregnant the next month.
Well, you hear stories like that, although you rarely hear it in the queer community because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so you must have tried one last time.
Yeah, like it was so the next month, like I after 2 years of trying, we're like, it's not happening, whatever. And then the next month, it would have been, I remember
It was like
it was winter solstice,
Right.
Oh,
specifically because we were trying to just like it was the pandemic. We were just trying to like celebrate anything that was
yep.
like we're celebrating. So we're like, oh, let's celebrate the solstice today. And I was like I feel like crap. Like I was so sick. And so I took a test and I was like, oh, that's not real. And so when we actually started telling people, I was like, yeah, but it was a surprise. And like, it can't be a surprise. You're a lesbian.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, after 2 years and then deciding we weren't going to try anymore, like right after the last time we tried, I'm like, it's still a surprise. So
Yeah. Yeah.
then,
Fair.
yeah, and Lennox had just turned 5. Levine, our son, who Kendra carried, was under a year, and I was now pregnant, and it was 2020.
Oh, that can't have been fun.
It was a lot.
It was a lot happening at the same time, and we
Yeah.
had just moved.
Oh, we also had a puppy at the time.
Oh, and we
Well,
did decide to get a puppy that August.
because of course you did.
Yeah,
Of
why
course you
wouldn't you?
did. And when
Yeah,
you say
so
you moved a significant distance too, right? Like it wasn't in
yes.
next city over. You moved.
Yeah, we went from we were in Aurora at the time. And
We had a month of like kind of back and forth between like my family's place and Cindel's family's place
yeah,
until we figured out like where like we were gonna go with that. And then we ended up in Ottawa after a month.
yeah.
Wow.
And then we did that for a few, I
Like
guess like a
a year and a
year,
half.
a year and a bit. And then because of the pandemic and the economy and work, and I actually my pregnancy is not great for me. I end up really sick. I had to have surgery at 26 weeks pregnant. So financially we weren't well. And we decided that we were gonna give up on city life and move to the Bruce Peninsula,
Hmm.
um, moved off grid.
Like
Um,
tiny home,
yeah,
off-grid living.
we did the whole thing.
Five of you and a dog in
Two
a
dogs at the
tiny
time.
of course, yeah, two dogs
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
off grid in
yeah,
Bruce
Uh,
County.
100 square foot little structure. We had a travel trailer set up as a kitchen and a outdoor bathroom. And that we made that work.
Through a winter?
We wintered in like cottages. We found some cottages that we would rent through the winter.
Right.
But yeah, from like spring to fall for 2 years we did that.
I mean, such a cool concept, but I can't imagine having really three young kids
Yeah,
because Lennox wasn't that old at the
no.
time. So,
And our youngest would have been like Sloan, who was our youngest, is our youngest, was 6 months at the time, and we decided to do this. And I've always said I'm going to give up on society and move to the woods. Turns out it is super difficult. Don't suggest it if you have tiny kids, and the way we did it is not the way a lot of people do it. We didn't do it because we were giving up something bigger and moving to something smaller. We did it because we were in a tough place and we were going through a hard time, and we're like, we need, like, when you're paying bills with money you don't have, and the credit card bills are like being paid with other credit cards, and it's the still the pandemic, and we're just trying to like dig ourselves out of debt.
yeah,
Like, the way we went about it is a lot more different than retirees who are like, we're going to sell
right,
our house and move into a trailer.
right. Downsize.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
This is
No.
a save money
yeah.
experience.
But
Which
the lessons that you would have learned and that your kids will have now with them,
Oh
even
yeah.
even with Sloan being so young, there's still going to be things that are intrinsically just sort of shoved in there that
Oh yeah.
that they carry that through the balance of their life with them, that lived
Oh yeah.
experience, right?
Even now they like Lennox was actually mentioning it on our walk home from school today. We walked past somebody's house and they had violets in the front yard, and she went on about like she loves violets, and because we last spring picked violets at our neighbor's house and turned them into violet jelly. And she's like, this is why I don't like the city, because not everyone has violets and only one person has violets, and I wish we could move. And I'm like, we're actively working on it, because in August we did move back to the city. Just life was a little difficult for other people. My sister went through her own separation, and we moved back to the city so that we could kind of
inhabit.
co-inhabit, I don't, whatever the word is,
Yeah.
live together and just make things a little easier for everyone. And where we were living was also highly conservative.
Yep.
And as two moms with three mixed race children in a highly conservative area, um, it could, there was very good people. We found our people who were good
Yeah.
people, but there was also not good people. And it could be difficult to be around, especially when our daughter's coming home from school and people are making comments. And yeah, so we decided that city it would be for now, and then hopefully end up on the outskirts of a city where we
Hmm.
can be in the country and they can still have the whole like nature experience. But
Close to community
yeah,
as well, like
Hmm.
a accepting community that
Yeah.
we can create type thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of the country we live in as it stands at this hour of this day. That,
Yeah,
we don't know where
we don't
things are
know.
going to go. And for those who are listening, there is a federal election in Canada happening as we speak. People are entering and exiting the polls, and we're hopeful that our community is going to still have some respect and recognition within the government, but we truly don't know what things are going to look like tomorrow. And if anything, south of the border has taught us that you cannot anticipate how the world can totally shake upside down when you're not even expecting it. But there are some cities in southern Ontario that are more liberal leaning, that have vibrant queer communities within them, that you could easily be close to it but not
Exactly.
necessarily in it. There are
Yeah,
other cities that are less like that, but you know, happens everywhere.
exactly. But we've definitely, ever since moving back to the city, got pretty like as much involved as we can. Like our oldest is going to like kids group for like the queer community or kids of the queer community.
Yeah.
And she is the like loudest about like her having two moms. Like I know that some like two mom families will have kids who make comments like, oh, I wish I had a dad or things like that.
Mhm.
And our kids are just so happy about like having two moms. And if anybody meets our daughter, it's like the like, tell me something interesting about your like yourself. And she's like, I have two moms. Choose my favorite number. Like, so yeah, we're pretty lucky for that. And we try to, even in smaller communities where we were, we would try to build that around ourselves, like
Yeah.
ourselves as well as our kids, so that they didn't feel like they were missing out on something.
Yeah.
So even, yeah, if we move out of the city, we need to be able to travel to where we can still have those safe spaces.
100%. And have community, because there are going to be times
Mhm.
that you want to have people that you do things with and not just be the five members of your family, which are fantastic.
Yeah,
But sometimes you do need to speak to other adults outside of the dynamics. And your kids need to speak to
exactly.
other kids outside the dynamics of the family too,
Yeah.
right? So finding that community is huge.
Oh yeah.
It's soul filling, really. Yeah. I so with Lennox's birth, my guess is that that was your ex that birhed Lennox, if you, or
Oh,
did you?
so no, I did.
Okay. Did you have
I
such a terrible time the first time then?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
So actually, yeah, no, pregnancy is just like not my friend. I'm good at giving birth. Like that's the thing
okay.
that's crazy. People are like, "Oh, I love being pregnant, but birth is scary." I could give birth like multiple times and be fine. It's the 9 months plus beforehand that are
Okay.
awful for me. I with Lennox, I actually lost 40 pounds during my
Oh,
pregnancy.
wow. Wow.
So I got super sick, pretty much like every day from beginning of my pregnancy to the end. And the person that I was with at the time was not helpful at all. She worked nights, she slept all day. I never saw her. And then even after Lennox was born, well, during my birth actually, my mom was the one who was like in the room. My ex was there, but useless. Um,
So the writing was kind of on the wall.
yeah, like it was like at the time, like when she left, the hardest part for me was financials. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you leaving means nothing because I was doing everything alone. And I was pretty heavily involved with La Leche League at the time, thankfully. So like I had that community who was like, well, you're like, you got this, like you're an amazing mom, we're here for you. And so yeah, I had like La Leche League, and my mom and the person I was with was just in the background. So
Yeah.
when she left, I was like, I don't miss you, but
But
gotta,
if you
but
could just pay some bills, that'd be great.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So but it was a blessing because if she didn't leave, then I wouldn't have found Kendra and we wouldn't have our other two now. So
Yeah.
blessing in disguise.
Fair, fair. So, for those who are listening who aren't familiar with it, and full disclosure, I've been associated with the Leche League since 1998, a long, flippin' long time, and I'm part of the board of directors for Leche League Canada. So I'm not impartial in this conversation, but can you give listeners an idea of what is the Leche League? Because there's a lot of preconceived ideas about what the Leche League is as an organization and how they function. But what is your perception of the
Um,
Leche League?
oh, it's hard to explain because people like I have family members who just call it my movie group. So I'm like, how do I explain it as so like I'm not as heavily involved now as I was then. But it's like parenting support for breast, chest, and human milk feeding, a support group, um there's the Leche League leaders like myself who have to go through like a process to become a Leche League leader so that we can have all of the
qualifications.
The qualifications, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
The best knowledge of
Sure.
like what evidence-based knowledge,
Yep.
just about like lactation in general, I guess. I actually started the LGBTQ2S plus Leche League Canada virtual group, where I specifically specialize in induced lactation
Hmm.
and co-feeding.
Hmm.
So we actually, I nursed my oldest. And then when Kendra was pregnant with our son Levine, I relactated so that we could co-nurse him. And then when Sloan, our youngest, was born, Levine was still nursing. So we also co-nursed her. Um, so yeah, just using my own experiences and helping other parents do the same,
Yep.
which is pretty much what La Leche League is as a whole, is parents with a lot of knowledge in regard to breast, chest, and human milk feeding, using their knowledge to help people who don't have as many resources to the information that is out there.
Hold on for just a moment. We'll be right back. This is where I would normally put an advertisement talking about the services that babyREADY offers. However, today, instead, I want to offer you an idea as to where you can learn more about the Leche League if you or someone you know wants to learn more about human milk feeding, either from the body or by other means. You can learn more about the Leche League Canada by visiting lllc.ca. And if you are anywhere else in the world and want to find a La Leche League organization near you, visit llli.org and click the Get Support tab at the top of the page. But it is, there's so, I mean, as with any organization that is very singularly focused, as La Leche League is, with feeding human babies human milk, we tend to get put into this, pigeonholed into this sort of expectation that our thought processes are that babies can't be fed any other way, that there's everything is all one way and not another way. And one of the beautiful things that I've learned through the Leche League and through just the work I've done over the years and over 2 decades is that there are so many ways to do things right. But when people want information and support, they don't always want it from a professional. Sometimes
Mhm.
what we need is to get that from a peer. And so that's where League comes in with such a gift basket full of warmth and acceptance. And so
Exactly.
that's my take on it. But yeah.
I've had like I've only had positive experiences with the Leche League, but one thing that people do need to remember is that they're just people and there's so many groups,
Mhm.
and they're like, I've heard of people having bad experiences where they call asking for help and they felt shamed. But that's not me, for starters.
Yep.
Um, but there's so many different people and so many different parents who are giving this advice that um even if you find the wrong person that you don't vibe with and they don't make you feel great, there's other people out there who will.
Yeah.
So I always try to remind people of that. They're like, I called the Leche League and I was shamed. I was like, that wasn't me. And also that person sucks. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. And it's also like La Leche League is pretty heavy in the States as well. And a lot of times that comes with having a very conservative, white, privileged, like outlook on it.
Hmm.
And that's also not me.
Yeah.
So it's you still have to weed through some not great people to find the good ones. So that's why
Absolutely.
it's pretty important to me that I make sure that I know the queer people in like Leche League so that even if I can't help somebody with something, somebody else can, because
Yeah.
even the small community of being queer in every area makes a difference.
Yep, absolutely. So, Kendra, you come into this relationship, you
Yeah.
come into this parenting dynamic with someone who has been feeding from their body before, and then you get pregnant by surprise. I mean, I think you both had a bit of surprise pregnancies, to be
Yeah.
fair, given your story. And then the decisions made for you to feed Livine. Did you feel because Cyndel was already involved with League and had breastfed before and fed from her body before that, did you feel pressure like I need to make this work? Or was it like it will work because I just know that it will?
No, there was like no pressure at all because Lennox was still nursing when we met. So
Right.
I like got to learn about it and like know kind of like the benefits that come with it.
Right.
And then when I like became pregnant, it was just oh, that's like second nature. Like, oh, you're pregnant? Well, there's milk being made at the same time.
Yeah.
We're gonna feed that. Plus, it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
It's free. My
Right.
body just makes it. I don't feel bad if he decides not to drink it if I pump because, well, my body's gonna make more.
Yeah.
And
It is so true. That's huge though.
yeah,
And so it just it is a unique experience to come into a dynamic of a relationship like you did and then sort of fall into the experience of pregnancy when that wasn't necessarily the expectation at the time.
exactly. And I think it worked out for the better. Like me end up being pregnant with our second because I had a better understanding of what the needs were when Cyndel was pregnant for her second time because she had a lot of like I don't know what the word is, symptoms per se. She doesn't do pregnancy well. So knowing how I did during pregnancy and like the things that I struggled with, and I didn't have a difficult pregnancy, I knew how to like be a better support for
Sure.
her. And then also too, like if she was so tired from being up with like our youngest who was colicky, I was able to like take her from like Cyndel and like also nurse her, let her have some rest.
Right.
Like that was like an amazing benefit of co-nursing is we could like swap out whenever the other one needed a little break, which not every family gets that blessing. So it's
No.
kind of cool how it worked out.
Yeah. I'd say the overwhelming majority, even of queer couples who both have uteruses, it's pretty unique. The co-nursing, which I mean, it's a gift, right? Like you say, like one of you can sleep and the other one can be up doing the nighttime parenting if that's what's necessary because you both have each other's backs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it that way. Sadly, a lot of people on this planet do not have the same positive thoughts about it, but people have those thoughts about nursing babies in general.
Fair,
So,
fair.
we just ignore the background noise.
Absolutely. And by co-nursing, then you're both getting the message from baby through the tissues to tell your body what that they need your milk to contain, so
Exactly.
that the milk that you're feeding Sloan and the milk you're feeding Levine, yeah, sure, it's probably been made so that it's got some for Sloan and some for Levine all mixed in together, but it's still targeting the things that your babies both need at those
Exactly.
times, which is just so, I mean, the human breast anatomy is just so fascinating, but
Oh yeah.
that's not the focus of this conversation. I get it, I get it. But I could totally nerd out about it for so long because it is just so
Oh
cool.
yeah. It's definitely also with like the tandem nursing as well, like
Yeah.
was super
Oh
beneficial
yeah.
for like sibling bond. And actually when after Kendra had Levine, which I didn't know at the time, but I had issues with postpartum depression, even though I didn't carry him.
Hmm.
And I don't think I would have dealt with that as easily if I wasn't also able to nurse him because it
Right.
was very much the you're not his real mom though, but you're not.
Right.
And so I had that in my head. And then I had comments from some not great people saying the same things. And
Yeah.
that definitely helped mine and his bond as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you have already indicated that you guys were struggling at that time. So you've got the financial struggle, the emotional struggle, the newborn struggle, like all of it compounds, right? One on top of the other on top of the other. So it's not surprising, quite frankly, and to know you've come out the other side, or I believe you've come out the other
oh yeah.
side stronger than ever, but it's not surprising, and so at least you had that gift of, as you say, of being able to bond with him like that at that time,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. So you used a known donor. You said you used a known donor. Is the
Yes.
donor still active in your family's life?
No, but he is a friend like that has met, I guess, two out of three of our kids, but they all know they have a donor. They know what a donor does. They know the background of how
The
they know
science.
the science behind how babies are made.
Right.
Um, so yeah, he checks in every once in a while, but it's actually funny because people will be like, "Oh, the father, the dad." I'm like, "No, he's a donor. He's very much a donor, and he knows that." So
Yeah.
he's like, "How are your kids?" Like,
I love that.
and there was a time where like we hung out a while ago, and it was after Halloween, and our oldest was allergic to dairy. So I was like, "Oh, hey, I brought you chocolate because I can't eat it because like she's nursing,
Yeah.
and she can't eat it. So like here you go." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about you having kids." And I'm like, uh, all right, thank you for them. But
I give
kind
you
of,
chocolate, you give me kids.
yeah, like I guess, I don't know, just like the way it was, it's like mentally for him, it's very much like we have kids and he has no interest
Yeah.
whatsoever in that dynamic. It's we've kind of arranged that like if the kids want to meet him or know him or they ask questions, then we'll like cross that bridge when we get there. But currently, none of them care to
Yeah.
whatsoever.
And I think in many cases, and I can't speak for all cases, obviously, but I think in many cases when you are completely upfront all the way along, tell your kids what's going on. I mean, it's not like you can pull the wool over your kids' eyes. They're pretty like they're pretty aware of the fact that they're a two-mom family,
Yeah,
and and as soon as they start getting into any kind of sex ed part of class, just in terms of basic human anatomy, they're going to figure out things are missing, right? So you've been with them and telling them the truth all the way along. So you haven't created a point in their lives where they feel like they can't trust you or ask you questions about that. And I think that
exactly.
that's something that we do in the queer community so much better than than the stories I hear about, say, adoptive parents and things like that in a cis
Hmm.
het relationship where they don't tell the kids until, well, in some cases ever, or until the kids are
Yeah,
grown, and then it's like, well, how did you expect them to trust you? Like, why didn't
yeah,
you just didn't tell
exactly.
them the basic reality? We love you with everything we've got, but we need somebody else to help us get you.
Ex
Yeah,
Especially like now with like 23andMe or like DNA tests in general or whatever ones still exist, like the
Yeah.
truth is gonna come out at some point. Like there's no sense in lying because if a kid gets curious, by the time they turn 18, they can order themselves that kit and figure it out. And
well, even
Yeah.
like where babies come from in general, like not knowing is dangerous. Like,
100%.
and like we're honest with our kids. We told them the science behind things. And actually our oldest came home from school like I guess it was last year, and she was like really concerned because somebody in her class told her where babies came from, and that is not the information that she had. And I was like, "Well, what did they tell you?" And she's like, "Well, they said that you put a penis in." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, so some people some people have to do it that way. And she's like, oh, ew. Uh, and that was it. Like that was the conversation because she knew all of the science behind everything. She just didn't know how heterosexual couples usually
Yeah.
conceive children.
Right.
And she like that's the part that she was like, oh, ew. Like, and I was like, yeah,
Exactly.
same. My thoughts exactly. So
You could not be more right.
right. So yeah, like, but we've all like even yeah, they've always known. And like our oldest was actually in the room when Levine was born. And so she's
Seen it all.
seen it all. And some people were like, why would you do that? Why in that space? I'm like, because that's how babies are born.
Yeah.
That's where babies come from.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've tried to be as open as possible at
Yeah.
an age appropriate level.
Sure.
But
Sure. And the nice thing is that then they have the opportunity when they're invited to the space, they can be a part and then they can leave and then they come
mhm,
back and they can leave. And I've seen that happen so beautifully. It's so often and yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I I just I sincerely appreciate that you have let yourself be very vulnerable, the pair of you, to tell us about all of the ups and downs of creating your family. Is your family done?
Um, yes. So
I love the
yes, but
faces.
no.
Listeners can't
Um,
see the faces, but the expressions on the faces are good.
pregnancy is definitely done.
Right. Fair.
For me,
I've also
100%.
at the same time I've also offered if to a few friends if they need a surrogate that I would do that because I did hate being pregnant.
Yeah.
She was so good at it. And I
Yeah.
watched and I was like, wow, must be nice. You look flawless. You're so healthy, whatever.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but
We don't want to have any more of our own
Okay.
birth from
but
us
we
for ourselves.
we have discussed fostering in the future.
Right.
And with that, there's no there's no guarantees because like foster to adoption exists. The
Yep.
plan is to foster when our kids are older,
Yep.
maybe. And we don't know those kids yet. They might not even be born.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it could not be done, but it's definitely done
It's up in the
physically.
air.
It's physically finished.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love the idea that you're open, Kendra, to the idea of being a surrogate. Because as you say, you didn't hate that part of it. And so
Yeah.
if there's a family that you can help create and
Mhm.
expand their or create their family or expand their family, then that's something that you're willing to
We've
consider.
definitely both looked into that. Like I was willing to like donate eggs as well. Turns out I'm like old now, I guess.
Ew,
I
so
don't know,
rude.
right? So like there was like couples that I was talking to and then like it was just like never the right time. And now like I don't feel that old except like when my back hurts. But like I'll be 35 this summer and apparently that's like ancient eggs or something.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay.
yeah.
And I had thought I would love to be a surrogate, but I'm in my 50s and that cutoff is 40. So I was like,
Oh
no,
wow.
yeah. Like
Hmm.
seems I mean, I know people who've done it beyond 40, but typically only if they know the family, like they know the
Yeah.
couple that they're doing it for, the IPs they're doing it for, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be such a
Figured.
cool lesson to teach your kids, right? For them to watch you do that for somebody else. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
just think the gift that your own children get watching you be that kind of a family that respects other families so much.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Like somebody else took like and helped us out create a family. We should probably return the favor to someone else who needs it,
Sure.
if possible,
Sure.
if the world's aligned.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. That's a beautiful idea. That's pretty cool. Fostering, surrogacy. So the parenting doors aren't completely closed. The doors to your uterus at the moment, at least, Cyndel, are closed.
Yes. Very much so.
Amazing, amazing. Before I let you get back to your brood, I'd like you to tell me, please, what are your very favorite parts of parenting your children?
Oh, the late night giggles that
Mm.
happen when they should all be sleeping, but they keep running out and making jokes and then running back to bed. I mean, those days can be frustrating when everyone's tired and ready to go to bed, but the like little laughs that you get out of it and like the like endless smiles, that's probably my favorite.
That's perfect.
I would say honestly, our kids are so funny. So like they're always making us laugh. And that's definitely a favorite. Also, I feel like us having kids is also like a political statement in a world where so many people, especially like of our generation, are like, the world sucks. I'm not bringing any more like I'm not bringing kids into the world. That's selfish, yada yada yada. I'm like, you know what? I don't agree. I feel like one of my favorite parts of having them is knowing that we're making good people. So
Yeah.
in a world where so many people are no longer having kids, except for the people we wish weren't,
Right.
that at least like there's gonna be good humans
Mhm.
still helping other humans be good humans.
Yeah,
And
that's so true. That's so true.
yeah.
You can affect the future, right?
Exactly. I'm thinking of the planet here. Like my favorite part is that I'm thinking about everyone by giving them good humans.
There you go. I think that's the most selfless thing you can do.
Right? And I had to use my uterus for it.
Right. In a very uncomfortable way, but you
Yeah,
got
you're
there.
welcome, universe.
I love it. Oh, I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been really great to chat with you.
No
Thanks
problem.
for having us.
Yeah.
And happy Pride.
Oh,
Happy Pride.
all right, because it'll be June. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone. Enjoy your rainbow days.
Yeah.
As a queer individual with colonial lineage, I want to first acknowledge the land upon which I live and work. Being from what is now known as Burlington, Ontario, I recognize the original ancestry of these lands as they span from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment and beyond. These lands are steeped in Indigenous history that benefits my community every day. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I stand is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The land dictates everything about our ways of being. Particularly, the land teaches us about fluidity. Concepts of the binary system and heteropatriarchy were imposed by the colonials who were, at the same time, removing children from their homes, families, and all that was familiar to them. These same children were divided by the only two prescribed binaries recognized by the settlers, and they were forced to conform to a performative, gendered falsehood. The land doesn't operate under binary thinking. It is diverse, complex, and unpredictable at times. Rather, the land holds us and all of our remarkable pasts and identities. Every organism and spirit has a purpose. It is from this understanding that I strive to live and grow. Thank you for joining me today on the Becoming Baby Ready podcast. If you have a story that you'd like to share, or you know someone who might, if you're a professional who works in the capacity of helping people start and grow their families, and you identify as being a part of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community yourself, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We always have room for more stories to share, and there's always more learning to do.